Hey fellas, this is the last round of the January Swiss. Remember, I was initially in the open section, and then I kind of moved myself to the middling one to balance out the numbers. I was trying to win it, with all my heart, and it was looking good. I was matched against Glenn Ruggiero, and I had a bit of a nice game to come back from the first time I played him. I drew, and I beat him in the first week of this month, and then the second week I came guns blasting, and I took down Tyler Barry, who was a 1700 plus player. And then last week, Matthew Wesley crushed my dreams. He played a 98% accuracy, and he deserved the win, which meant that there's a lot of people vying for the top spot, and I was matched up against my old pal, Jamie Fallon. In fact, I should probably add that on in. I got to play the white pieces, which, for the record, I have played Jamie 4 times in Classical, and all 4 times I've had white, which is crazy because I actually have one more black game than white, and 4 of my white games are against Jamie. So, Jamie, sorry, buddy. Of all the people in the club, the friend I definitely made is Zane, for sure. But I feel like I've become friends with Jamie as well, and I think he watches some of these videos, or at least maybe the games I played against him, and I don't think I got his best today. The question is, would you get my best? Well, let's see. So I've been learning the Jabava London, and I was able to apply it, which felt pretty good. I don't know the openings backwards and forwards. In fact, looking at my notes after the game, like here, right before I went into the video, I realized I actually did mess up my opening a little bit, but, it still worked out really well for me. Second time I played Jabava, and second time I've been winning out of the opening. So it's crazy. I stuck with the Catalan. I think the Catalan's still good opening, and I think I'd play it pretty well, but it's wild how 2 games of Jabava I've just destroyed people out of the openings, and I don't think I had a single opening victory in a Catalan literally in any game I played. So alright, let's jump into it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to really add as far as notes about the game or so. I don't think so. Yeah, alright. Results up in the air for who is going to win the January U1900s. So I play d4, he plays d5, you play knight c3, this is kind of getting to the Jobava, and in order to truly get it, they have to play knight f6. There's a lot of sideline moves where you can then develop, basically your bishop out to f4. The first main idea is to move your knight to b5, you're always kind of looking for this 4. And in any event, if they don't necessarily play the sequence of moves, you can still sort of play into it. I know a couple of move 2 as far as how to line force a transposition. But those are some of the things that I'm studying as far as what kind of positions I like from there. But nonetheless, Jamie plays right into kind of the main line. I don't really have to do much, and that's fantastic. In my notes, the reason why it's actually really challenging to study is from this position, which is pretty well known, in Masters games and according to the computer, there are so many not only viable moves, but so many moves that people play, online and Masters games, etc., that there are more than 6 common and good moves. And obviously when you start branching out this early, it requires, from an opening perspective, a lot of time spent learning. So a few of my other openings that I've been learning, for example the Trumpowski, which I do like and I'm going to continue to play, there are fewer answers to, I guess, if you were to get into the Trumpowski, there are fewer answers to this. When you play the bishop out here, you basically just have to study what do they do if they move the knight, what do they do if they ignore, and what do they do if, depending on which pawn they push. There's fewer kind of accepted versions. Here, there are more than 6. There's 6 ones that I've looked at, in depth or so, but there's 6 variations. And anyway, Jamie plays e6, which I know I have it in my notes that I think this is the second or third most common. Most people... Well, not most, but the most common c6, again, there's nothing really. In the pros, a lot of them like this a6 move. But I was aware of e6, and this is where, because I just started, my opening stuff, the whole idea is to hit them with this knight to b5, and you kind of force them to stop it. It kind of forces knight a6, which is already admission of weakness. Unfortunately, I didn't do that. I played knight f3, which is also a fine move. But actually, in my notes, I'm pretty sure this immediately is great because it forces either the knight a6 response, obviously defending the pin, or potentially bishop d6, which is not played as often because it's very obvious that we get this position and it's clear positional edge to white. Black has given up their bishop, their pawns. I don't think that this is that bad, doubling pawns on the d file, but this is clearly not what black wants. So most of the time you get this position, which I've studied a fair amount, because this is a very common kind of Jobava-looking line. And again, you're probably looking to play e3, supporting this knight, always trying to snake on in, making black worry about that, and then you're eventually basically going to attack them on the king side. And that's kind of Jobava in a nutshell. Nonetheless, I didn't do it. Reason why, again, is I was tying up my lines, not exactly sure, what was what. Always looking at knight b5, but not finding it when I should have just played it. Nonetheless, Jamie goes bishop e7. And this is already a bit of a mistake. I know the best computer line is to just pin the knight. Basically, get rid of this nonsense. In fact, even trading is fine for black. I don't think the double pawn is a weakness for white, because I think then I can play c4, and I could end up trading my b pawn for the d pawn, which is probably a good thing for white. But it at least prevents the opening idea and lets black castle and kind of just get a game. A lot of people, especially online, play bishop d6, which is very common, and it leads to the knight e5, which is, by the way, why I thought I needed my knight on f3, because you want to always basically block the trade, and if you land a knight on e5, it's a real powerhouse there. However, he goes for the passive line, and I'm sure that bishop e7 is fine. It's just not a move I've looked at. And, finally, I say finally, on move 5, I was on my own, out of my own notes, out of, whatnot. Oh, Jamie always comes late to games. I should have mentioned this with a time. Two things happened. First off, credit to Justin. He was the tournament director today. He started the games on time. It was 7:15. He said, all right, guys, welcome to the 4th round. You guys can start your clocks. So actually, big props. I'm always there on time, well, except for the one time I wasn't, but I'm almost always there on time, generally early. I like when things start on time, personally, So that was huge. Anyway, Jamie's always late. But what's funny is I sat at the board, I got myself a tea and stuff, and I started the clock, but then I actually made my move, and I didn't hit my timer. So what's funny is, although Jamie was a bit late, I didn't realize I didn't hit my timer until I'd already spent, a couple minutes, 5 or whatever. So maybe I should have gotten a 10-minute edge, but I ended up, the time ended up being quite even early on. Jamie plays not fast, but not slow. I don't think he ever really suffers from time trouble. And I will say that this game, everyone, the clock was literally not an issue. I think there was one spot where I spent a good amount of time, but other than that, I was basically in the flow. In the flow, I was mostly just thinking on Jamie's time, to be honest. And I'll highlight when that comes up shortly in the game. I also think this will be a shorter recap, so we'll see if I can mince meat or not. Anyway, when he plays bishop e7, I'm just kind of trying to find the natural moves in the Jobava. I know that e3 is a move you generally want to play, again, opening up the square for the bishop. More so, actually, I had ideas of playing g4, and I know that I want to be able to support that pawn with my queen, because, again, I want to play knight e5, and so that does it. So that's actually why I played e3. That's, the more important reason for the record. But anyway, and then Jamie surprises everyone watching, which is just me, with b6, which I know is not a move. And the reason why is because he still hasn't castled. Even in this position, and again, I should have done this right away. In my notes, I say that I should do this right away if they don't answer it. E6 does not answer it. Because so often they answer with knight a6, if the pawn is on b6 to address this, then I feel like this knight becomes much weaker. Now, long form play, one of the ideas is basically trading this light square bishop for this knight, doubling the pawns, then you have something to play for on the queen side. But when b6 was played, which just looks really goofy, I just knew this was a mistake. I don't know if it's a blunder, but I knew it was a mistake. Now, I'm not at the level where I can examine it, really think through it, and realize why it's a mistake. I just reverted to, again, I think he has to play the knight here. I think that he doesn't have a pawn guarding. I think that ties down his light square bishop, which means I probably will be able to apply more pressure. So then I say, fuck it. Knight b5 looks tempting here. Again, he still doesn't have... He can't move this pawn because I just slam it in with the fork. This is forced, or maybe he's more likely to play bishop d6, which is the weaker line versus knight a6. And then I was pretty happy that if he played bishop d6, I was going to go knight takes, he'd go pawn takes, and then I'd continue my idea where I would just be up the bishop pair and he'd have kind of messed up pawns, and that's great. However, Jamie plays c6. He kind of forces my hand, and does he play c6? No, he doesn't. Well, oh boy. This is why for the other games when I had loaded everything in already, it was so nice. Anyway, I can bang out these moves pretty quickly because it's not that hard. This is just Joe Baba. He went with the e6 system. Knight f3, I should have just jumped on in. Bishop e7, passive move. E3, trying to extend not just this way, but also this way. B6, weird move. Knight b5, attacking that similar fork. And he does play knight a6. So there you go, he plays knight a6. Alright, fantastic. See, didn't take me that long to enter the moves. Sometimes I just jump a move, it happens. I actually don't know what Jamie's rating is. I think it's about 1400, roughly. As of this game. Alright, so with knight a6, I look at this and I say to myself, alright, he's doing something kind of funky here. Most of the time, the bishop belongs on bd3, somewhat to take away this knight jump, but also to have scope for the h-pawn. I could just move back and we could, I'd force him back, that kind of thing. But I didn't think that was necessarily great for me, so I just played bishop d3, chilling. Now Jamie plays c6. So there you go. That's the move ordering. I just looked at the sheet a little bit wrong. And he's basically forcing me to clarify this this knight. Now, he was probably assuming that I would just bounce back to c3, but I went deep into the tank, and I thought I saw a better move. I played queen e2. And my thinking is, over here when I was calculating, I could put it on a3, I could put it on c3. I think either of those are fine. But maybe he then jumps to b4 himself, trades the knight for the bishop. I'm not able to sacrifice it there and kind of mess up his pawns. So what have I really accomplished? Nothing. But if my queen is here, if he thinks, oh baby, I can win a knight, I would go bishop takes pawn, check. And if he blocks with the bishop, he's now removed the defender of the knight, and I just win the knight. If he blocks with the queen, I obviously just take the queen. If he blocks with the knight, I still take his knight, then he would take with the bishop, and then I would, again, because my queen is here, take with the queen. I also thought that his best move is honestly just to castle, and in that spot, I still have not lost anything, where I can still retreat my knight. Furthermore, I'd have my queen develop to e2, which is pretty reasonable, because then I'm one step closer to castling, likely queenside. So I thought that was like the stronger move, where A, maybe he'd make a mistake, and B, even if he doesn't, I thought the best move was castles. White is in good shape. And unfortunately, and this is why I think it's going to be a shorter recap, Jamie does, in fact, make a mistake. He blunders, and it's basically game losing. He plays knight b4. He said after the game that he was so tied into defending the square with knight a4, but then he just blanked where he thought that he could then trade the knight for the bishop. I've been there, I understand, but I didn't waste much time. I didn't blitz it out, because I did just want to think for like a minute. And so I thought for a minute, I played knight c7. It's pretty obvious. His only move is king f8, and I just took the rook. And it certainly looks to me like I'm up a pure rook for basically nothing. The only way black has any compensation or anything is if my knight gets stuck, and he can win the knight for free, or it forces me to trade my knight on b6. But even that is pretty lousy. Having said that, I think I actually played some very strong moves, so let's see the rest of the game. Remember, Jamie's history, his style, his tendencies against me he is very, he plays out all the games, and he actually, he's quite resourceful. So, he does blunder too, but after blundering or whatnot, he is very resourceful. So, starts by playing knight h5, basically trying to erase my bishop so I can't just jump back, which makes sense. I look at this, and a lot of positions of the Jobava, you let them trade this with the idea that you then take with the e-pawn and you just pawn storm them. But I looked at this position and I did some calculations, and I thought to myself, wait, why do I have to let him trade it? Let me attack his queen. So I move in, and I thought this was good, because when I calculated, I realized that if I move my bishop and then I basically am able to stick my knight on e5, first off, I'm taking away all of these squares for his queen. The only place he can put it is e8. Furthermore, he actually might make a mistake. But more importantly, when I've done that sequence, I will open up on his knight, And even if he's able to capture my knight, his knight's on pre on h5, and I would just win equal material. And I thought that was outstanding. I was never worried about any of these forks because my light square bishop is guarding. And if he trades, I would just take back. And yes, maybe he damages my pawns a little bit, but I'm already up a pure rook. Just trading equal material is like totally fine. So I went for it. I played bishop c7. I was pretty happy with that one. Jamie thought for a moment he doesn't blunder. He for sure makes the best move here. And I follow through with knight e5. Again, calculating at this point, all right, I'm attacking the knight. How can he defend it? And I saw when I played this, all right, he could play f6. He'd be attacking my knight. Oh, no. But I have this move, a3, and I saw that if he then takes my bishop, I would just take back. If he plays it to, like, a6, boom, I just win the piece. If he tries to trade, I still have the same skewering idea. Or excuse me, not skewer, just battery idea. So I calculated through, and it looked very safe to me. I looked like all his pieces are boxed in. He lost the ability to castle. His rook is basically dead. His knight is on the edge of the board. And to be completely honest, I thought that, I won the game at this point. I'm not going to lie. But it's okay. Still got to prove it. He plays f6. I don't waste much time. I saw a3. I played it. He trades. I trade. All right. We have reached this position. Once I play a takes b4, again, it's funny. I did calculate all this. I saw that he was very likely to play e4, attack my bishop. But I saw I could go to a6, and if he takes, thinking that he'd then open up on my knight, he's not really, because I'm always counterattacking his knight. So if he ever takes that, I'm fine. Furthermore, if he took my bishop there, I would actually take with the rook, and then I'm coming into the 7th, and I'm just basically straight up winning. So I didn't think e4 was actually a good move at all for that reason, because I kind of wanted my bishop there. Furthermore, I did calculate if he checked me, okay, I can just block. And then he loses the tempo because then he's on pre. The only place really he can move back is the exact same square. Yes, I'd be losing the pawn, but it seemed pretty minor to me. And this is exactly what happens. So I really feel like I was on my A game with these calculations. I very quickly play b a6. And he plays bishop takes on b4. Check. Okay, no problem. Seems like the natural move. c3, blocking. He brings back, and we've reached this position. And this is where I went into a think. I had not thought much at this point, but everything looked really, really good. And I was thinking to myself, all right, is this knight dead here? Should I trade? And by the way, this is where I think I made a mistake. I calculated a few lines here. I calculated bishop takes bishop, queen takes, and it looks like, again, I'm going to be losing this piece. Not really, because, well, I'm attacking the knight. But I actually saw I could just go rook takes on a7. And I thought that I'm defending everything. I'm going to be moving my knight on in. I'm going to be honest, everything looked winning. And that's what I should have done, and that's a line I calculated. But I thought, for some reason, that I would still have the option of doing that next turn. And because his king is on this file, I thought it'd be clever to put my last piece into the game and just declare king safety. And that I could castle with the idea of basically going f3, opening up and having everything attack his king and just look to checkmate him. And I don't think this is a bad move. I did, in fact, castles. But Jamie did punish that slightly, because as soon as I castle, he plays bishop to d7. Now I can't trade it off. And I realized I made a little bit of a mistake. I've got a lot of pieces just kind of like hanging around awkward squares, and I kind of need to make sense of it. I'm still, again, always attacking his knight, so he's not really attacking my knight, because even material trade. But I realized he could probably piecemeal it. He could probably play like g6. I thought that I always had this wooden shield on e5. It's massive. But maybe he could like play his rook over. I don't know. I just didn't see any way for him to untangle his position. It seemed very hopeless to me. Oh yeah, I guess I just played it. The other key here, and this just move flowed, is I thought now that I moved, not only is it a wooden shield, pinning down here, but I've reopened the square for my knight to jump to c7, which of course would be attacking the queen. But more importantly, I'd be off of this the 8th row, so that I don't necessarily need to keep my queen tied down to attacking the knight. I also about here really regretted not trading the light square bishops, because I realized how easy it would be if I could just snake my rook onto a7 and like life would be good. That would be it. All right. Nonetheless, when I play b e5, Jamie plays bishop to f6. Just trying his best to trade these off. I mean, I actually thought in this position, knight f6 was a little bit better so that it's not under attack. Everything, again, just didn't seem very good to me, so I don't know. But, yeah. He plays this, I shrug, I'm like, alright, whatever, I'll just attack your queen. I play knight c7, I've kind of gotten it back to safety. I'm trying to bring my pieces in, and I really want to go after his king. Jamie plays queen to g6. He's trying to get anything possible to, attack my king. I don't see it, to be honest. And here is where maybe I made another error. I thought that if I let him trade his dark square bishop for my dark square bishop, that would be a big win. Maybe not a big win, but that would be a win for him. The move I played was f4, thinking here. I'll walk through my calculations. What I should have played here, I actually don't know what I should have played here. I feel like maybe I didn't make the best move here, but I played f4. My thinking is if he en passant, that's great. He's opened up his king. I would actually take with a rook, and now instead of using this file, I would just get the other rook in, and I thought that he'd be dead to rights. If he doesn't, maybe some days I'm threatening f5, but more importantly, if he trades, I trade, and again, he's opening up, so he can't really trade. And B, maybe there'd be some lines, I mean, the g4 ideas, if I play king h1, g4, his knight's getting trapped, because again, I counted the squares. He wouldn't be able to move there, and be dead there. He wouldn't be able to move there and be dead there, or, with either piece. His piece is blocking, his piece is blocking. So I kind of calculated that as well, that all that looks good as far as squishing on in his knight's pieces. Again, it just seemed very overpowering. And again, to my surprise, he plays another move I didn't see the threat of this, by the way. In retrospect, this was probably the only move really that gave him some practical chances, so I applaud Jamie's move here. But he played bishop h4. I just kind of shrugged. I was like, yeah, I don't get it. In this position, I'm thinking to myself, all right, I wish I traded these off because then I could sneak my rook in. How can I move my bishop? I can't move back here, can't move back here, can't move back here. I was thinking about just straight up sacrificing. I wondered if I should play c4 here. I thought it was too slow to go takes. I didn't think he had to take. And if I take, he just takes back. And I thought that this pawn's actually kind of a weakness, stopping him from bringing his other piece into the game. So I actually didn't want to open up. I didn't want to trade. So I thought I found the best move here. I just wiggle in bishop b7. Again, the threat's pretty clear. I wanted to take on a7. I thought if he moved to a5, again, trying to soldier everything, I was actually thinking about playing queen to a6, just forcing it on over that way. Again, the idea is I'm really looking to checkmate. I'm looking to bring my pieces in. I wasn't sure how. Maybe if I go there, I'd actually rally down like this. Maybe not, because then he blocked with the bishop. I'm not sure. But I was basically trying to open up lines to his king, and bishop b7 seemed like the way to do it, to be honest. Jamie plays king e7. He's trying to centralize it. He told me this makes sense to get his rook into the game, because then maybe he'd have some chances to throttle it down the f-file. I shrug. It seems too slow. I just take on a7. I finally got my other rook into the game. Life seems good, and now Jamie plays queen h6. And again, a move I just didn't understand. And when I was thinking here for a moment, he made a joke that, he's playing right to left. He's getting his pieces, set up on the board, which I guess is kind of true. Anyway, this is the position where I spent 15 minutes because I was trying to calculate the win. I kept calculating bishop takes as well as knight takes. And I was calculating all these sacrifices because I thought, again, now I have this beautiful, beautiful rook kind of lasering his king. These pieces are in the way. I have all of these squares covered, so he has to run back. And if I can open the lines, especially by binking out the pawns, I have this diagonal to attack and hopefully checkmate him. So I'm calculating all of these, and I thought I calculated the win. So I thought I calculated, and this, bear me out, this was my calculation. Bishop takes pawn, bishop takes. All right, now my rook is lasering here. I have the discoveries with the knight, and I saw knight takes d5 for the double check. Means his king had to move. He wouldn't be able to move up. I'm taking that away. He can't stay on this because of the rook, which means he has to either move to d8, e8, or f8. I thought that, well, if he ever moves to e8, he's just screwed, because, again, that opens up the line for my queen to bang on in. And I thought that in all those lines as well, that possibly I could even just, like, if I don't have the exact mate, then maybe I have the rook check, and then I can pick up the other rook once I basically check his king. I did think that if he ran back here, maybe he would have to, if he ran to e8, he'd have to then block with his bishop. And in those lines, I was trying to see how I could apply more pressure to his king. And again, I kept making use of these diagonals. So I'm telling you, I spent 15 minutes calculating all this stuff, the bishop sacrifice, making sure it was solid and steady, because I figured I needed to take out these pawns so that I can bring my queen and just checkmate his ass. And I played it, and I was so proud of myself, and literally within 3 seconds, I play this, really agonizing over whether this was right, basically giving back some material, but his king's in the middle of the board, going for like the checkmating attack. He plays knight g3, which I'm going to be honest, I didn't even consider this, and as soon as he played this, it took like the wind out of my sails. I was like, whoa. And all of my calculations were predicated upon my queen being here. For example, I'm just going to show you. I calculated this, here's the double attack, all right? Can't move up, can't stand the side, can't block because of all these checks. So I was basically calculating when he moves to either d8, e8, or f8, all my follow-ups, and they all seemed, I'm going to be honest, super winning. For example, if he moves up, wait, this didn't work there. Didn't calculate that. What was my play here? Geez, I don't even know. I know if he moved over to this one, I was going to go with this check to win the here. Okay, this was the easiest one. If he went over here, I saw I have this. No, because his knight then takes. What did I see over here? Was it just this move? Maybe. Now he moves over. Oh, God. All right, well, I'll have to think about that one, because I know that I basically was agonizing, and I guess in my brain it's all lost because now he played this move anyway, and he didn't even take, and I was trying to calculate all the different takes, and whatnot, with the key idea being knight takes on d5. Nonetheless, he hits me with this knight g3 idea, and I was like, what the fuck? And then I realized the danger, what he's going for. If I take, he takes, and he's threatening checkmate, right? Which is wild. Like, I was like, oh my god, I could lose this game. Which means all the more reason I need to really make sure I actually have a mate if I allow that by taking. And I wasn't sure I had anything concrete. So when he played this, I then said, all right, if I take, I'm not sure I have a concrete mate, and he has a very clear mate and one threat. I shouldn't go into that. So I then think about the two other options I have is queen to g4, which looked reasonable, and queen to b5, which looked reasonable. My thinking was that if I play out wide to the right-hand side of the board, I maybe always have this check on g7, where then he has to take back the queen. I take back with the bishop. That would be, for the record, if he gobbled my rook, trying to get some material back. He'd still be down a full piece, but he'd be sort of making progress, to be honest. But I thought, and after calculating the two for a while, being like very blown away by this move, not, again, just being shocked by a move I didn't see at all, I played queen to b5. My thinking was, same deal, I made the calculations, bishop takes, knight takes. If he moves here, I can take his bishop with check. He's mated. If he plays out here, and I know after the game, Jamie and I went through all these calcs, all the analyses, and I thought that they all led to mate. Again, thinking that he takes. And by the way, it's very clever. I don't know if you guys can tell, but he actually is threatening a perpetual, which again, out of thin air, was really kind of wild. Unfortunately, Jamie plays rook to d8. I told him I thought his only real try was bishop takes, because again, what I saw is if I go queen takes, I'm pretty sure he's got this perpetual. I can't move up because his bishop is taking it away, so I have to move over, and then literally he would check me again. And I was worried, well, if I take here, mate, right? So I thought that was a perpetual, so I knew I couldn't do that. So I realized I had to keep my queen on this diagonal or deflect his bishop so that my king could run. However, again, he made it easier on me, and I was really not sweating, but I was really calculating all of those possibilities. But he makes it easy on me, and I told him because when he was thinking on his turn, and when he plays this, I was like, apparently I did something because James was like, "Whoa, did I make a bad move?" And I said, "Well, maybe." I said it's more that I spent all this time calculating, on his time. He spent 15 minutes calculating bishop takes bishop because I thought that was his only real chance. And then he plays rook over. So when he does, I take, and the key here is I'm taking away the knight check. If he ever takes my rook, that's great. I'll just take back. He has no more checks. He's 100% dead. And I'll show you guys how the game ended. Again, kind of a quicker one. I'm actually kind of curious. 30 minutes. Wow. I'm really a gabber. He then took back with his rook. After that, I went into this line. Knight check on d5. It's worth noting, if he takes, boom, I will have checkmate there. So he can't take back, of course. Yeah, which is nice. He can't move the rook because it's pinned to the king. Tactics, baby! Tactics. So he plays king f8, which may not be correct. I knew that if he went here, this is a very obvious mate. And Jamie and I went through these ones as well. Same deal here. Checkmate. So maybe this is the only move. I mean, he can't. Maybe he can run over. I don't know. This looks very losing to me too. Again, worst case scenario, I just trade everything. I mean, this looks like a lot of material. Yeah. Anyway, that didn't happen. He goes to king f8, and I spent a little bit of time calculating. I thought I calculated the mate here. Basically, I wanted to be able to take this with check. I'm sure that I'm not sure, but I think there might be a faster mate. But I play rook a8. He blocks, yeah, once he's deflected, he doesn't have this perpetual. I just take his rook because now I am threatening checkmate. Checkmate in one. Pretty easy, pretty solid, pretty simple, pretty clean. Not too bad. All right, queen takes in d7, and the way the game ends is he tries to checkmate, see if anything happens. I now can run up, no problem. He gives me a check. I calculate out that he will run out of checks here. I take on e2. He checks me again on g4. I play king e1. He tries to check me again on h4. I play g3. As you guys can tell, he has no more checks. I mean, obviously, he could check and then lose the queen. He can no longer move any of these squares to defend the bishop as well. So this is 100% happening. He took on h2, and I checkmated him on d8 with my rook. And that was the game. I feel like I played a pretty good game, actually. Having said that, I shouldn't give myself too much credit. It literally will kind of boil down to Jamie kind of blew the opening. He made some complications. He did play one move I didn't see at all, which was a clever threat for perpetual. And he did make me kind of calculate a lot of... I'm actually curious what the computer says later. So let's get into the analysis. Again, this is all like opening stuff. I'm not going to spend really any time on this because I'm not an expert on the Jobava yet. I'm gonna be playing this a lot. It's wild to me. I've played this twice in Classical, and both games I played, I barely know the opening. I've gotten amazing positions, whereas I know like the Catalan really well, and I am struggling to get like a good position. No, that's not true. Actually, with the white, I've been kind of crushing all along, but with the Catalan, I've been struggling to get like a great position. I'll say that much. And it's worth pointing out in this position, this is what I meant. That in my notes and everything, I should just play knight b5 here. And I have looked at both the bishop check as well as just the very simple and what is going to happen most likely, knight a6. And I don't think bishop e7 is bad, by the way. The computer does give him an accuracy for this. He's supposed to... I told him, bishop b4. The computer loves this pin. It makes sense. It just absolves any of the threat. And when you trade, it's really fine for black. A6 is always a solid idea in the Jobava, just to take away the knight jumps. No, that's a big yawn. Again, I'm in an early schedule. It's a little past midnight, so I am tired. But again, because this game is pretty clean, pretty thorough, I don't think the recap's going to go terribly long. Um, Another move that you do see very, very frequently, and it is listed, it's a very solid move, is Bishop d6. You see this a lot. And the main key with the Jobava is rather than like trading or ignoring, e3 still can be played. In my notes, I think I have that position a lot. I think it's fine. But the main idea is just to jump knight e5. And it looks so funny, basically blocking in the the trade of the bishops with your aggressive knight. But it winds up being quite good. Oof. Big yawns. All right. I said I wasn't going to spend too much time in the opening. I'm pretty tired, so I don't want to spend much time in the opening. I do play e3. I missed that I could play it there. Again, it's in my notes. I'll get better with the opening. It's one that I need a lot more experience in. And he plays b6. And then this is just a bad move. Good news is the computer still says knight b5 is excellent. I find it this time. Sometimes I miss a move initially, but if I'm pretty good about not missing it again. So I found it. He does play the only move that really keeps it competitive at this point. Bishop d6 is the other option as well, and of course you could always throw in the check. But yeah, he plays knight a6. Boy, sometimes I am just tired. Yeah, the computer likes h4, and that's in my notes. I just don't know it well enough. Yeah, the idea is rather than like build up these other pieces, you just launch forward h4, and it makes a lot of sense. A3 is pretty good too because this check is always pretty reasonable, so you can take that away. And again, knight e5, just jumping on in. I didn't say this in the recap going through it, but I actually did strongly consider going knight e5 here. Funny enough, with the idea of preventing c6, because then I control that square, and trying to land my knight there anyway to fork basically his queen and his bishop. So what's funny is I actually strongly considered knight e5. I wish I had done it because that was the move I wanted to play there. Instead, I thought to myself, this move makes sense. I can slide my queen behind. Computer gives me an accuracy. Fair. Touche. c6 is fine. White's just better here. And yeah, computer thinks that I should just retreat to c3. But I thought that maybe in those lines where my queen is on e2, it's better there. But the computer does not agree. They do not like my idea. I played for again, hopefully you guys see this. Queen e2, wow, they give this a mistake. I did think his best move was castles. It's the only move where black is actually in good shape. But every other move I thought he was in bad shape. And as you guys can tell, I thought pawn takes knight is losing. And the computer agrees. Already plus 1.1. Yeah. In fact, the computer even says he can just move. He just should maybe slide his king out. I thought he would defend with bishop d7. And yeah, and all these lines, it makes total sense. I'm surprised I can't just take there. Why? Oh, b5 gets trapped. So it has to be trade. Let's say queen takes, and then I take his knight. Yeah. And here, white is just up a pawn. I'll be back 1 second. Got me. Just Simon futzing around. You never know what he's doing. He's crawling in the sink. Crawling in the deep. My little Adele. Alright, well, nonetheless, Jamie blunders. I don't need to rub it in his face. Knight b4 is a massive blunder. Basically game losing. Just about showing good, technique to finish up. I think I did. I'm excited. They give us a great move. This is the whole idea of the position. Only move really is king f8. I could even sacrifice the queen for a piece. That's crazy. Sacrificing the queen is horrible, obviously, but it's not even that much worse than letting me just take the rook. That's how bad this position is for black. Wowie. Wow. And what's crazy is obviously knight takes rook is good, plus 3.5, but not even taking it here is also still good. Base is still going like h4. What I had done is I put my tea in the microwave, so I'm going to go grab that again. All right. In any event, yeah, I mean, this game went really well. I really have no complaints here. I took the rook because, like, duh, of course I'm going to. And the computer wants Jamie to play the torn between him trading the knight or just playing knight e8. Just playing it over. That's a hard move to play. I'm gonna be honest, it's a really hard move to play, but it makes sense. The idea with the knight there is you're taking away the square, the retreating square. I did tell him that his only chance really is to go after the knight immediately. Make sure he gets the knight here. Again, still losing, but like that's probably what he should have done. H5, knight h5, not one of his better moves, and his position is kind of going from quite bad to even worse. And hey, look at that, guys. My move that I played, bishop c7, is the top engine line. I'm proud of myself. I did see it. Yeah. Boom. Wiggle it in. Don't even let him trade and have his knight be off kilter and awkward. His only move really is queen e8. Obviously, he could throw in the knight takes bishop first, and then I would have gone pawn takes. Yep, c takes d. So that I always have this long-term threat. Yeah, he plays the queen over, which makes sense. Yeah, it's interesting. The computer here says I can just castle. Just says, you're super winning. Just castle, bro. I think when I thought I was super winning and I could just castle, I missed my moment, my opportunity a little bit. They're also suggesting moves like a4, just starting to immediately assault. What do I do here? Knight e5. Not the best move, actually. Queen d1. Bringing it back. Garbage style. I should have just castled here, to be honest. But you know what? My move is still good. 95, thrusting it forward. You know, they keep saying that he should just trade the knight for the bishop. I mean, everything is pretty rotten. He does play f6, so even the computer says g6, which makes sense because then I no longer have this threat. But f6, I was pretty sure was what was going to be played. And it's not like it's a bad move, but I saw the follow-up. And the reason is, once f6 is played, I did play a3. I have to counterattack his piece. And then, of course, if he moved if he basically traded his knight for the bishop, I'm able to trade my knight for his knight. And, you know, even on material still. Looking good. Good looking. I don't know, something like that. All right, a3 is played. This kind of forces his hand. He, in fact, trades, which is not the best move. It looks like the computer still is calling out for Jamie to go knight takes on d3. And then, of course, I would just backwards move the knight. I don't know. Everything is just winning. Let me see. 43 minutes. Yeah, I mean, my recaps have gotten like progressively longer, but some of them are shorter. I'm kind of blitzing through this game. There's not a lot that needs to be said. He takes, obviously, a takes. I'm obviously going to take his knight. Apparently I could throw in an f3 check if I needed to, but I don't need to. A little sneezy. Simon still is quite sneezy. He's been getting better, which I'm thrilled about. Jamie does play the best move. So e4 is the best move to attack the bishop, but wow. Now this is kind of interesting. Well, okay, it's not like it's much better. But the computer is basically saying I can just ignore that, sacrifice the bishop, and just take the pawn, just taking the 7th. And the computer is also saying I can just sacrifice the bishop for the pawn. Takes is a line. I play bishop a6. I mean, all the moves are good, which is also very, very good. And even castling and ignoring the bishop is fine too. All right, well, it is what it is. It is what it is. All right, I play on over here. He takes on b4, which is still fine. c3, best move. I block. Nice. Retreat his bishop. Kind of sucks. And once we've reached this position, yeah. So remember, guys, when I was doing this without the engine, I did say I regret it. It's so obvious. I should have just gone trade, because if he trades there, I mean, I could also just take here. But moreover, I probably would just swing down with my rook, probably, which is what the computer likes as well. And then I'm basically getting material off the board where his rook is dead anyway, in the corner of h8, and I'm just up a ton of material. That probably should have been the simpler idea. I probably should have done that. I mean, castles is the second best move, though. So to be completely honest, like the two options I was weighing on, it's not like I chose that poorly. I just thought I had the time where I could sit on it and just castle. I thought it was kind of like the professional move. It wasn't, but I'm not going to beat myself up over that one, actually. He plays bishop d7, kind of the best move. Jamie's good at defending, actually. And now they like... My move is best. No, it's not. I play bishop e5. I make the wooden shield first, but they really do like this idea of bishop e7. I was considering that here, because I knew that his queen didn't have any entryway squares, because these bishops would be taking all of them away. For the record. Alright, well, I make the wooden shield. Game has been +5 for like 10 moves, so, you know, it is what it is. He blocks. And now I find the best move. Right now, well, I mean, there have been a lot of best moves. Knight c7 is not the best move. I thought that would be interesting. They still just like bishop b7. Oh well. Queen g6, his best move. Yeah, I mean, when Jamie is like lost, he finds all the best moves. I kind of have mentioned this and said this in every other game, but he doesn't really give up. Ever. Alright, f3 is better than f4. So the computer does not like my idea. Even queen d1, which is kind of a weird move. Queen d1, because this reroute doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But I guess staying on this diagonal does. Maybe that's what it is. Bishop d6 is another. Check is another line. Yeah, I was always looking to see if this check did anything. I didn't think so, at least not here. It just like maybe forces him back a little bit more. Play f4. Move is still good, actually. Oh, they give it an excellent. All right, cool. I shouldn't beat myself over that. That's pretty good. He does play the best move. Bishop h4. All right. Yeah, I don't think there's much to talk about in this game, to be completely honest. Again, I think Jamie might watch these, might not. Like the dude a lot. It's fun to play with him. This is the 4th game I played. I'm now 3-1 against him. But he just blundered out of the opening, and it was a significant blunder. I did play pretty well in this spot. He did make it interesting there. I'm kind of curious how winning it was. Actually, the one spot I want to do is I wanted to calculate those lines. You know, my computer's like probably lagging at this point, but I was running out of things to say. This is the best move. Bishop b7. That's cool. I wanted to just calculate if I did in fact have those mates. Rook takes on a7. They like my plan. I play the best move. Queen h6. Yeah, I mean it's a +7 position. I mean it's like literally over. Shoot, I just spilled my tea now too. That's unfortunate. And they like my move. I spent so long calculating this. All right, I mean, look, I think I played a hell of a game, actually. Aided by the fact that I don't think Jamie played great. But, yeah, I spent this was my one think, really, like, long think. Bishop takes, because I had to calculate the win. So, let's just see. I'm just kind of curious. Because he shocked me with this knight g3, which is actually totally fine. The whole time I spent calculating bishop takes. So, let me just placate me for a moment, everybody. I'm just going to kind of, you know, beseech the wisdom of the crowd, in this case, the wisdom of the computer. And the move that they think, and I did not see this move, this is not what I was going to play, is the computer likes queen g4 here. Why? I don't know. Oh, and all those lines, you're playing the check on d5 anyway. The whole time I was calculating the knight check. And the reason why there, again, is, in fact, like, let's play that out, because this is what would have happened, is obviously he can't take with the bishop because he's under double check, which means he has 3 moves. Here, here, and here. And I was trying to see, like, all the wins. So the computer thinks, like, going to d8 is his best line. So let's start with his worst line, with king f8. The reason it doesn't work is this check on d6 with my bishop, which makes sense. Once again, if he goes to e8, looks like it's mate. He falls mate to... Well, he's going to be running around quite a lot. So, like, to g8. The whole key idea is wiggling my queen in somehow. All right, well, let me see this. g3. I take... Again, I just thought for sure he was going to take back the bishop, and I had to look at all this stuff. I was going to go, again, knight takes on d5, blah, blah, blah. And these 3 ways that he could run. King e8 here is where I had the check on c7. That's right. He moves over. The key move to infiltrate is basically queen either a6 to wiggle in that way, which makes sense. Or queen c4, which is a little bit more accurate. Get in here, or maybe give him a check that way. Because if we trade everything off there, then that's very easily winning. Okay, cool. All right, with knight g3, it looks like I should have still gone knight takes on d5, but I was torn. The move I played was queen b5, which is also super winning. Okay, and then the other move I was considering was queen g4, which is also super winning. Okay, well, it's good when all the moves you can play are super winning. So, yeah, perfect. I'm just out of curiosity, because the thing that I was concerned about, literally the thing that I was calculating the whole time, was what if he plays bishop takes on c4. And bishop takes on c4, loses on the spot, there's a checkmate, let's find it here. Oh, it's this move, knight e6 check. Because these are taken away, he's under check from the rook, and... yeah. And the key is if he takes like this way, okay, then I can just, obviously I can just take with my queen, and this is very easy for me to win. And he obviously doesn't have a perpetual anymore because then I could just take, so like that's very easy. But the actual mate is then playing f5 here. And the reason why is this is a mating web. These are taken out, these are taken out. So the only thing for him to stop that would be to play knight takes on f5, and that's when you play queen takes on c6 check. And then, of course, after he blocks with the knight, we have checkmate. All right, cool. Cool. Yeah, the whole time I was calculating, what do I do here? What do I do? And the truth is, guys, I didn't see knight takes e6 for that disguised check. I saw only, in this spot, I saw knight takes on d5, which is still super winning. But all the lines I calculated involved knight takes d5. And it does look like on d8 and e8, it's just force mate very quickly. I went over these with Jamie, and they're all force mate. All right, cool. That's good. I'm just going to do this for my own edification, just because like I wanted to find this very easily. Right, and what I was telling him, what we said is basically you don't want to put it on a square where my queen can just take with check out of dodge, because then it's very, very easy for me to win. So for example here, because he moves to this square, I would just take on b6, boom, that's check. He can only move 2 different places. Obviously if he moves on c8, I would just checkmate him very easily. So the only move that keeps him in there is going here, and lo and behold, I can then check him again. Well, I can take the bishop with check, and again, that's super winning, as this rook is gluing him over. All right, cool. So that's... So that's if he goes to e8. You basically just take with check. If he goes to d8, same deal, check. So the only one that I was working on, and basically a little bit confused, and again calculating his time until then he just blocked the rook and kind of made it easier, was here if he played to f8, and apparently it involves, and I did see this. I thought that there was this with him maybe dropping, but then I obviously win it on the spot. So I did see this check on b4. The idea basically is if he goes like, blocks there, this is going to be checkmate. So like, g8, the follow-up here is 8. Again, they still think I can just take this pawn, or take this knight. Oh, you know why? I see why. Because if you take and then he sets up the checkmate, it's because you have this check. And even better is, this is even better, because then he has to block with the queen. We traded a queen, and then there's no threat, and this is going to be mate as well. All right, cool. So a little bit of worrying, a worry ward for really not much. All right, and then the final bit of the computer, which is when he moves the rook over, I take. He can obviously take an f1, which is what I thought he would do. The check doesn't do anything, which is what happens. We can play this out. Oh, he even takes back the rook. Funny, h takes g3 is the faster mate. I thought this was clever though. Playing, they like h takes on. They like knight takes on d5 as well. So cool. Kind of curious. All right, we're just about at the hour mark. I've stalled long enough. Let's go over to the Boylston schedule. I won. What's crazy is there's like literally a 4-way tie for first or something. Let's see if it's updated. It's not. Yeah, Matthew and Justin drew. Tyler beat Zachary Sylvain, who I still haven't played yet. And then I beat Jamie. So literally we have 4 people on 3 points. Kind of crazy. Kind of crazy indeed. All right, and then finishing this strong. I think I did pretty well. Here, once he plays to f8. Apparently rook takes on d7 is better, but I played the rook a8 check line. He blocks with the bishop, and I now take on d7, and this is very, very easy. And the only way that he can stall for a few moves is this, what he did, and then boom, checkmate. All right, let's just do a quick review, see how I did. Looks like I played pretty well, to be honest, so I'm pretty happy with that. 90.7, not bad. Yeah, it's crazy. This is the first game where there's like no middle game or end game, because he just kind of lost in the beginning. All right, well, a 91% accuracy is pretty strong. I'm kind of curious what the mistakes were. Well, we're not going to find out here. I'm going to add this to my game collection. January Swiss. Where are we? Okay. So I finished the January Swiss with 3 wins, a win against Glenn, a win against Jamie, and a win against Tyler. I lost to Matthew. 4-way tie for first. I should be in the open section next month, February. And yeah, I mean, that's about it. Pretty good game. More so, Jamie kind of got busted out of the opening. I found some kind of cool ideas. I had to calculate a bunch of like mate stuff. I had to make sure I wasn't in trouble with that knight move and everything. And yeah, that will just about do it. All right, as you can tell, I'm quite tired. Peace out, everybody.